Okay, so we've just missed Sue cleaning her computer screen and we're ready to rock and roll. So welcome along to Destination Vietnam. This is a huddle that I nearly changed the date of, and then it just didn't feel right to be hosting a destination in a place that I'm currently at. So it's like next week will be in Malaysia. So I have to start with Vietnam. And last weekend, 𝗤𝗓𝗏 came over to this side of the city. She's been on a house sit for the same amount of time as us, but literally the other side of the city. And it took us a month to actually get together. And one of the reasons why Nat and I haven't actually even been out or done anything is because our particular complex here is really, really well catered for. We've got everything we need literally downstairs and around the block, and it's amazing. And yeah, it's just, I mean, for many different reasons that I won't go into, we just have not been feeling the tourist thing at all. Maybe it was because we OD'd a little bit in Bangkok and Singapore. So here we've really just kind of settled back down, and we had 2 months without pets in Singapore as well. So now we've got a 3-legged deaf dog. So we've kind of really taken on our role as being, the caretaker and company for this gorgeous boy. So yeah, we haven't really gotten around that much. And due to commitments to get to Europe, we accepted a referral house sit in the inner circle to go to Penang. It's only a short one, but by doing that, it cut our time really short in Vietnam. And I think we kind of realized it's like, just because of the people that we had met and who have traveled in Vietnam, it sort of felt almost like it was a waste to only have a few days to kind of just go to one location. And we're like, no, that's it. We're definitely just going to, we've had, 4 weeks here. This will be our 5th week. We've got a real taste for kind of the culture and the country. And when we come back, we're going to go and do all of the amazing stuff that I know Nadine and Sue and anybody else has been here is going to, has done. So really from a house sitting perspective, yes, I can talk about, our very recent experience of coming into the country with the visa, the payments, the whole kind of stuff we had to do beforehand. But that's about it, and just the cost of living in Ho Chi Minh City. So I really wanted to hand over to the experts, to those who've travelled. And I remember it was, funnily enough, this is going to seem totally random, but Nadine, when you started your trip through Southeast Asia, there was one particular photo. I loved all of your photos, but there was one particular photo where I saw your most gorgeous walking shoes, and I ended up with the same pair in blue, yours in red. So totally random, but I'm like, oh, I love those shoes. They look perfect for Asia and for walking.
And they are perfect. My Keens, I love them. And I tried to capture them in all these different places in Vietnam and Thailand, because they're like, these are my shoes, my pink shoes.
Yeah, and they can get wet and whatever else, which is all sort of information. So, yes, Sue, I'll definitely find a link for the Keen. I can't remember the name of the Rose or something like that, but
I'll grab them.
Yeah, they've got the
toes. I love them.
They're very girly, but the toes are covered. You can get them wet. They're really good, super comfortable. Yeah, so I've got the blue ones. You've got the
hold that thought.
Oh, she's going to get them. Look at that. All right, so let's start with you while she's grabbing the shoes. When were you actually traveling in Vietnam? Did you do any house sits, or was it all travel?
All travel in Vietnam. We house sat in Bangkok.
Oh. Well, mine are a bit different, actually. I'll have to get mine to show. Yes, I'll grab mine shortly.
I love them.
All right, so we're starting with
Very
Sue.
Girly.
Starting with Sue, and then we'll go over to your trip, Nadine, as a solo sitter, because Sue and Dave were doing the couple things. So when was it? Last year, did you say? Or?
It was actually in January last year, just after Christmas last year. And we had no plans other than we knew we were flying into Ho Chi Minh City, and we had an Airbnb booked, and that was it. So we actually thought we would only do the south of Vietnam. Just really, we knew we had around about a month or so, and we thought we would just really immerse ourselves in the south. But then after a little while, we felt we had done enough, so we caught the train we might have flown into Hanoi in the end, and really would love to have gone right into the Sapa, you know, that inland part, but we'll do that another time. So we just made it up as we went along. But I did follow some forums on TripAdvisor, and I found some of the stories that other people were sharing very, very helpful.
All right, so let's just start with the time of the year. So we arrived here June. Yeah, I think it was, I can't remember the date, the start of June. And that was kind of, it's deemed as sort of the end of the wet season, but it can extend into July. But we kind of, I heard some locals talking the other day, when I say locals, expat locals, saying that this time of year we start to transition into the dry, but it's still really hot. And we've noticed it in the last week. We've really noticed the lack of rain, but still getting some electrical storms, still getting that build-up feeling. The humidity is there, but it's just not breaking. So it's almost like a reverse build-up. It's really kind of weird. So January, that would have been a nice time, would it?
And actually, it was a really, really nice time of year to be there. It wasn't. We had been in Malaysia for about 3 or 4 weeks. We'd been to Malaysia, and then anyway, we finally made our way to Vietnam after being in hot weather, and the light weather clothing we took was perfect. You know, I didn't need any covering up, but it wasn't stinking hot. Not like it was a bit like a Brisbane summer, I guess, or early summer. Yeah, that is hot, muggy, but it wasn't unbearable.
Yeah, so when we got here, we actually found this to be, even though the temperature on the weather maps was saying that it was higher than Singapore, or sort of on par with Bangkok, it didn't feel as hot because we were still getting the rain. So the rains were coming for at least sort of an hour or two a day, and we didn't find it to be oppressive or anything. But just in this last week, it definitely, without having that rain to break things, it's definitely changing. So I would say to you that this middle of the year time frame is definitely at the higher temperatures. And you know, Doug and Joanna are in Thailand at the moment. They're probably, you know, got that whole sort of similar thing as well. So Nadine, you did a Northern Hemisphere winter travel. Yeah,
I arrived early mid-December, I guess. I went from Winnipeg to Vancouver, and then Vancouver to Hanoi, and it was I had like a rain jacket on a couple of days just walking around Hanoi, so it was a little bit chilly, and I didn't go up to the Sapa area because it was really rainy. It was really rainy up there at that point, and everything that I wanted to see apparently was washed out or was in cloud cover, and it was very cloudy and overcast, so I didn't go further north than Hanoi. Okay. But the weather was great. And then traveling all the way down, I had good weather all the time. Not super hot. Up in the interior, again, it was like kind of a fleecy weather, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So you guys sort of went opposite. So Sue started in Ho Chi Minh City and went north, and you started in Hanoi and went south. But did neither of you went right up north though? No. No. Okay. Cool. So that's pretty good.
Never went further north than Hanoi.
Jenny, welcome along. I didn't expect you for a little while, but we're just sort of talking at the moment, just kind of location and weather. Both these guys were traveling December, January, so it's kind of like, I guess, deemed as that nicer time of year. When did you what was the period of time that you traveled through Vietnam, Jen?
I've been to Vietnam 3 times. So, gosh, I can't even remember the dates that I went. Sorry.
Because it's hot here all the time.
But it's always, it's hot all the time. So it's hot and humid. I do remember going to 𝗣𝗏𝗏 was a beautiful reprieve, and loved all the market gardening and all the coolness of the mountain air and stuff like that. And the same with Sapa. I did a homestay up in 𝗤𝗏𝗏, a little village not far from Sapa. It's much, it's still humid, but it's much nicer because it's much higher altitude and things like that. So I think it's probably more important about wet season, rainy season, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Because the temperature's always hot.
Well, I don't know if everyone saw in the inner circle, but Sandy and Rob were not able to join because they're in Europe at the moment. So it is 3 a.m. for them. But they had, and I think it was around this time of year as well, they had a full-blown cyclone. I don't even know what they're called.
Oh, right.
And they had massive amounts of water and got evacuated out of Hoi An. And she put a photo up. I might even try and bring that in.
I saw that.
Yeah. So they still love their whole experience, but they kind of mentioned about the whole, if you get the warning, it's like really take it seriously. Don't just kind of go, but the whole hotel and the whole of everywhere had to evacuate because there were literally like boats down the street just with the amount of water that was there. So it is prevalent, I guess. What do they call it? Monsoons. Yeah, I was thinking cyclone.
Yeah, monsoon season.
Yeah.
One of the girls that I traveled with that I met in Hanoi, she had been up into Sapa, and she said she had to wear everything that she owned. It was so cold. She put everything she owned on in layers because it was so cold. So I guess it can get cold.
Yes, sir.
So
and a lot of the hotels don't have extra blankets or duvets or duvets or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it can be freezing. It was for a couple of days I was up there.
When we got up to Hanoi, because we'd been travelling in hot weather for months, and we weren't expecting to be going to Hanoi, we just decided to go. It was so cold. I had nothing. So we had to go and buy, knockoff North Face coats and stuff. And I had nothing but like a pair of thin cargo pants and tights or something. I don't know but I had everything literally. It was beautiful, but ridiculously cold.
Wow. I can't even fathom that at the moment because it's so hot here right now. So we're in Ho Chi Minh City at the moment, Jen, just so but we're leaving here on Saturday, actually, heading over to Malaysia. So,
are there many outfits in Vietnam?
Well, we've started seeing more on Nomador. So both us and Taylor got our sits through Nomador. And what seems to be happening is what we've discovered here is there's a lot of international teachers. So this time of year is probably going to be very popular moving forward. The couple that we house sitting for now, they actually had Charity and Andrew 𝗣𝗏𝗀𝗀 and their little kids stay here at Christmas time, but it was only 2 weeks. So generally speaking, they only take vacations for kind of 2 weeks. This is the longest time they've been away because they went to Europe. The girl she's a Welsh girl and she's married to a Filipino guy. So they hadn't been away for 5 weeks before, but it's covering their whole school vacation time. So the same thing happened with Taylor. She's got an international teacher that she's house sitting for, and they've got their whole family that have gone on a trip. So it is something that will happen throughout the year. So Charity and Andrew were here at Christmas time, and I think whenever kind of the school holidays fit for the international schools mainly. So did you house sit at all in Vietnam, Jenny, or you did travels each time you've been here?
No house sitting, all just traveling, holidays.
All right, so let's
some volunteering, but yeah.
Okay, so let's then talk of cost of living then. So we've got all of you guys have done travel, not house sitting. From a travel perspective, for me, okay, we get to Bangkok. Yes, it's cheaper than Australia, but Bangkok itself is getting up there in price. It's almost like it's thinking it's like a mini Singapore, sort of with all their flash stuff and whatever else. But if you go out to a market style eating place, you're still going to pay probably $4 or $5 for a beer. We get here, and oh my word, we can drink beer all day. So from a cost of living, what I haven't experienced, obviously because we're house sitting, is the accommodation costs. So do you guys want to talk about the accommodation costs for sort of general parts that you were at? Start with Nadine, you're unmuted.
Sure. Yeah. I stayed at hostels the whole time, and I loved them. I was very impressed. They were beautiful, very private, very clean, very well managed. There were lots of them, so you could really choose. You could clearly pick, you know, is it a party hostel or is it more mature clientele? And I think I never paid more than $11 Canadian for a hostel. We actually arrived, I met a girl as we were heading into Hoi An. I was on the overnight train, and we had booked into what we thought was like a guest house. We're like, hey, well, let's share and we get a little bit more space. And so we got there, and the sisters that owned the guest house had just opened up a new resort wing. So we had this beautiful pool and like brand new. The plastic was still on the TVs, and she gave it to us for the same hostel rate. So again, we never paid more than $11 Canadian per night. And I was very impressed. And I did that the whole way. Beautiful breakfast, beautiful. Yeah, I was just very, very impressed.
Very cool. Sue, what did you guys do? Were you hosteling or Airbnb?
Oh, well, look, I'd love to have hosteled, and I think that's something we still want to do. But we have a membership with a core hotel group. And so we, all through Southeast Asia, so we took advantage of that, and we had heavily discounted rooms and half-price meals and free drinks. And I think the average we were paying $35 a night, $30 to $35 a night. Pretty good. And that's 3-star hotels.
And that's Australian dollars?
Australian dollars, yeah. And we were happy with that. But what I would say about that, though, is I didn't feel that you would get the full Vietnam experience when you're staying in a 3-star hotel. So yes, it's all Vietnamese, but and they were close in, but it's still a hotel. You have to make up for it in other ways by leaving the hotel early and getting out and about. But look, I've got no complaints about it, and we were happy to spend that, because you would never spend that anywhere.
No, not to get the hotels for Australian dollar prices.
Yeah. So, and having that membership meant that we gained points, and it's given us so many points to get free nights in other places. So swings and roundabouts.
Oh, that's really cool. So Jen, you actually mentioned a homestay. So did you have a mix-up of accommodations on the different times you've been here?
Yeah, yep. Look, have done a range of hostels, homestays, budget motels, like budget business hotels. Like there's lots of like budget business hotels, which are really great. You can get a double room for like $22 or something like that, or $25, which works out quite well if you're traveling as a couple. Homestays, we paid anywhere between, probably around about $15 a head. That's Australian. That was up in 𝗣𝗲𝗀, up near Sapa. But then, I was also there like 15 years ago, and, you could stay, or that was before they even had 2-story houses and 2-story hotels in Nha Trang. There was nothing over 1 or 2 stories then. And then, of course, now you've got 38 stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, lots of different ranges. And I think, I always love to support the locals. So if I can do a homestay, or I can do a home, a family-run hotel, like when I was in Hanoi, I stayed in a family-run business hotel, and it was absolutely fabulous. They were so lovely. They were so friendly, and, they were just, it was like being part of the family. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so accommodation, pretty affordable. Obviously getting house sits is awesome. And we were doing our best to kind of spread the word as well. We had an amazing experience last Friday night. Went down to our little local bar down here, downstairs. And there's this group of young Irish lads. And Taylor is most upset that she wasn't here last Friday night with us. She loves an Irish lad. So we were sitting there chatting away, and I was like, so you guys are kind of the teacher, the Irish teacher contingency here. And just literally talking to them and telling them what we're doing. One of the lads is in one of the penthouses in our complex, and he said, oh, when we moved in, we kind of adopted this cat. And he said, so are you telling me that if I wanted to go away on one of my longer trips, that you could come and just look after my cat, so I wouldn't have to worry about bringing somebody in? It's like, would love to. And he's got like a 2-story penthouse, 3-bedroom, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, nice. So, yeah, definitely worthwhile putting the word out as well. But as I said, we've got quite a big kind of international teacher contingency here. And Taylor, great that you've come along. Can you talk about your area of Ho Chi Minh City, and you're sitting for teachers as well? Is that right?
She's muted. Oh.
Yeah. So I am like complete opposite sides of the city of Nat and Jody. I'm in District 2. Sorry, it's a little loud. It's an area called 𝗢𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗃, and it's actually like surrounded by the river on 3 sides, and then the main highway kind of cuts across. So like I'm in like a little, kind of looks like a little glove actually on the map, and it's perfect because it's very neighborhoody. It's very walkable. I mean, everyone here has scooters still and bicycles. But yeah, I just get to walk everywhere. So, and it's a big expat area, and it's kind of known for that. There are a lot of international schools in my area. So my homeowners, they are both teachers. One is French, one is British, and they met in New Zealand, they taught in Singapore for 10 years, and now they've been in Vietnam for 2 years. And they have 3 kids, and they move their whole family every time they move schools. But yeah, as I walked around, I've seen there's a Japanese school, there's a European school, there's just an international school. There's like, 4 or 5 international schools just in this little area.
So Taylor was saying in her area as well. So we're in like a full-blown, high-rise complex, and we've been speaking to a German guy who's into property development. He said that in Ho Chi Minh City, there's currently 55,000 apartments being built. So it's literally on a growth spurt. So we're in 4 buildings of 25 stories each. But where Taylor is, you're in the more traditional terrace homes. So explain about the whole, why they're all skinny, long.
Yeah, so my homeowners told me when I got here, they were showing me the house. They're like, yeah, it's a traditional style Vietnamese house where that's really like skinny. It's not very wide, and it goes up really tall, and it goes back really far. And they said the reason was because they get taxed on the width of their house, which seems so random.
The street frontage.
Yeah, and so I'm in an area, my neighborhood is just like little house after little house. A lot of stairs, just a lot of stairs, but it's nice. Yeah, I'm in the office right now, which is towards the front of the house.
Oh, very cool. So yeah, our particular area as well, we've got a lot of Koreans living here. So we've got a mix of Vietnamese, Korean, and sort of the international teachers in our part of the city. But Hanoi, I have seen house sits show up in Hanoi. Even Hoi An, I think I saw a house sit as well. But Nomador seems to be the number one kind of site at the moment. There's been a few others, but mind you, in Alan 𝗖𝗍𝗄's Facebook group, which is all about Southeast Asia, he's kind of keeping his finger on the pulse of the whole sort of region. No worries, Doug and Joanne. So I think Doug and Joanne were trying to get a bit of information as to whether they come over here or not. They're currently in Thailand. So from a travel perspective as well, who'd like to list off kind of the key places to be visited in Vietnam? This is more for me for next time I come. But obviously I've seen, back in Australia, I've seen all those different deals and things for, is it the Ha Long Bay cruises that they do? Like, has anyone done up the Ha Long? Yep.
We did. We didn't do the traditional Ha Long Bay. We went to what was that called?
𝗏𝗏?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was with dragon boats or something. That was or dragon junk boats, but very, very few boats go into this area. And whereas the tours will take you into the typical Ha Long Bay area, and it's wall-to-wall boats. But where we went, and I can find it and put a link up, Where we went, there were, at night you park the boat and there are boats in the bay, but not near you. When you're out and through the day, there's nobody else around, and you go to this deserted island and kayak around another big island, and there's caves, and absolutely stunning and totally beautiful, and exceeded my expectations. And again, I found that all of that information through this guy I was following on TripAdvisor. But while I'm on, just another thing we did when we were down in Ho Chi Minh City, we did a trip down to the Mekong Delta, and we stayed we just caught the train down, did we? No, bus. We caught a bus down, and we stayed at this place called Green Village, and it's a series of little huts along the pictures make it look like it's a big lake, but it's just this little man-made lagoon, run by a family with dogs, and the food is very average, but the people are wonderful. You know, they're trying really hard to please everybody. It was one of our faves. So Ha Long Bay was great, and Green Village down at the Mekong Delta was just brilliant. And they take you out really early in the morning to the Mekong river markets.
Speaking of really early in the morning, this is a country of early risers.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, Taylor has missed out on coffee a few times because her coffee man that was recommended is gone by the time she gets outside. After the walk, that is. But yeah, it's really cool here. Like I go downstairs, and at one stage I thought I was tuning in. There's a group of women who get in the middle of the complex, and somewhere between sort of 5:30 or 6 or something, they're all doing, it's not Tai Chi, but it's movement. So they're doing these different sort of movement and, you know, arm patting and stretching and different things. But they're so cute. They wear a different color every day. So the first day I go down there, I'm wearing like this top, and I'm like, oh, I matched them. And then the next day I'm wearing navy, and they were wearing navy. And I'm like, oh, I can join them every day, except that I'm walking Mikey, and he would just be a nightmare. And then in the evenings, occasionally they've done dancing as well. So they'll just all sort of get together. It's so social and so kid orientated, and all the kids are having fun, and they're doing these organized things. It's really, really, I don't know, it's amazing from the morning standpoint. Exercise and movement seems to be a high priority on sort of everybody around in our area, and, you know, primarily Vietnamese and Korean here. And it's, I don't know, I think it's inspiring. Definitely made me wanted to do a bit more, but we're walking a dog that needs to stop every 2 seconds, so we're not quite getting as much movement. Yeah, so the other thing I want to bring up is the amazing Ho Chi Minh City. Is it the same all over Vietnam? Is it like, my questions to you guys, is this scooter mania the whole country? And Taylor has been like kicking it with the grab bikes, paying next to the thing, jumping on the bike.
Those are amazing. So you asked about what our favorite or the highlights. I loved Hanoi. And I had arrived there the night before the big soccer game, that huge crazy soccer match. It was insane in the old quarter, and my hostel was right down in the old quarter. And I had a little bit of shell shock, like, oh my God, what have I done? But within a couple of days, I just loved it. And then did the overnight. I guess I did a bus. I went to 𝗏𝗏 and did the tour. Now I had heard. Sue, the same as you said, that Ha Long Bay, very touristy, 𝗏𝗏, still touristy, but certainly not as much. I didn't stay on the boat. I talked to a lot of people, and they said, you know, you're paying quite a bit extra just to stay on the boat. You're kind of seeing the same thing. So I just did the day trip on the boat and loved it. It was wonderful, and just stayed at a hostel in 𝗏𝗏, and then took a bus. I can't remember offhand the name of the town, but I wish I had spent more time up in that northern area. I kind of got caught up when you're in a hostel, lots of people, and I kind of got caught up in the whole, where are you going to be for Christmas? And let's all meet here for New Year's. And I kind of got caught up in that and rushed a little bit to Hoi An, because everybody's like, let's be in Hoi An for Christmas together because it'll be so beautiful. And it was. but I kind of wish I could have just gone back up a little bit and spent another week a little bit further north and a little bit further inland. It was very, very beautiful, and I would have spent more time there. And then Hoi An was great. I was in Hoi An just over a week. And
sorry, is it you guys saying that the Sapa is like where the terraces are? Like, is that right up north?
Yeah, Sapa is north of Hanoi.
Yeah.
But as you come like between Hanoi and Hoi An, there's all kinds of really pretty little towns. I ended up taking the overnight train to Da Nang. Loved the overnight train. If anybody gets a chance to do the overnight train, so fun.
That's what I want to do.
Is mostly just locals. Just a ton of fun. I spent almost the whole night in the bar car with these Vietnamese soldiers that could hardly speak English, could hardly understand, but a cold beer between friends, and it was amazing. It was so fun. And then got into Da Nang, spent a couple of nights there in a hostel, and then bussed from there to Hoi An, did the overnight bus, and it was beautiful again. I would have spent more time, or I could have spent more time in Hoi An. Again, a little bit touristy, especially when the bus tours come in. It gets a little bit crazy, but really, really enjoyed it. And then went into Dalat. Jenny, you were saying how refreshing the mountain air was in Dalat. It was so pretty. And it kind of the pictures make it look a little more sort of majestic town in the mountains. It's really just a little town in the mountains, but it was very, very fun. And I was there for New Year's. And so a bunch of us from the hostel went downtown to there's a little bay downtown, and we thought, oh, there's like hundreds of people heading down for the fireworks. So we all walked down for the fireworks, got our position along the bay, and the fireworks went off. And I'm saying 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds tops, and it was over. And everybody turned around and went away. And we were standing there going, did we miss something? That was the fire. So cute, so fun. Tons of people, big outdoor markets and everything. So really, really fun. And then from there to Ho Chi Minh. And I was right downtown in Ho Chi Minh, right off Backpackers Row there. Taylor, you've probably been down there? No?
Nope.
You guys should go. It's so fun. It's the scooter mania. I've got videos, and my face is hurting because I'm grinning so much from the craziness of the scooters, and you've got a family with 3 kids like right next to you, and I mean insane, but it's so fun down there. And then you say, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to ask about the beaches, and considering Jenny has a home at 𝗄𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃, which is amazing beach. Sydney Smaller Beach, awesome, but just that comparative aspect to Australian beaches. And you start with Unadine because you're from inland Canada. How do you rate the beaches in Vietnam?
I didn't spend a lot of time on the beaches other than in Da Nang.
Okay.
And they were beautiful, big, wide, white beaches, but super touristy and super expensive. Like a beer on the beach in Da Nang would be like $12. And if you walk 3 blocks into where the hostel was, they were $2. Like that kind of crazy. Wow. And all kinds, it was kind of weird, creepy in a way. There's all these apartment buildings and hotels sitting empty on the beach, apparently waiting for Russians to buy them. Lots of Russians, tons of Russians, and just waiting for apparently Russians and Chinese to buy them. But big hotels, like almost complete, but empty.
Wow.
So it's kind of weird, but lots of them. The beach was beautiful, but
one of the guys that we've met here said that Nha Trang is sort of full of Russians too. He was talking about.
Yep.
So Jen,
like a lot of the signage in Russian.
That's
like
crazy.
In Da Nang, signs were in Russian.
Sorry, beach report.
Beach report. I'm a bit of a beach snob.
I know. That's why I'm asking you.
because of the lovely beaches that we have in Sydney. Look, I think the beaches have been ruined. I think also, you know, the locals do their early morning toiletring in the beaches and in the water too. So that always tends to put me off a little. And I go jogging in the morning on the beach. So that's like an obstacle course for me. Actually, funny story. When I was in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon 15 years ago, it was normal for people to go to the toilet. I don't mean number ones, I mean number twos, in the back streets in the middle of the city. So you just see all these people go to the toilet. It was disgusting. It's changed a lot now, but
yeah, you wouldn't
I can remember that was my first ever. No, that was my first ever. Got off a flight, into my hotel, walked out, was walking around Ho Chi Minh City, and I was just watching all these people squat doing their business, and I just thought, holy crap, literally. So yeah, and was trying to cross the road, you know, with all the crazy bikes, even 15 years ago. And then this 90-year-old lady, she looked 90 years old, came up, took me by the arm and just pulled me through the traffic. And I thought, how funny is this? Normally you would stop and help a 90-year-old across the traffic, and she's the one guiding me through the traffic. And it was just like, you know, she couldn't speak any English, but she conveyed to me, don't stop. They go around you. Just keep walking. Yeah. So that was my first lesson, but that's a long time ago. So I think unfortunately, like a lot of Asia, the beaches have been polluted dreadfully. The coral has all gone. When I was in Nha Trang the first time, it's over 15 years ago now. It's probably, because I've been traveling now for 4.5, so it's probably nearly 20 years ago. You could still go off Nha Trang and see coral reef and all that. None of that exists anymore now. So look, I think, you know, there's some nice beach culture, you know, sort of atmosphere clubs, that sort of stuff. But it's like Bali, a lot of it's ruined. It's like Thailand, a lot of it's ruined. To me, the pristine beaches are in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
But some of my favorite.
Oh, is it me or is it Jen? Is it Jen?
Even though it has changed and it's a lot more commercialized. I'll go to, sorry?
Oh, no, I think your internet just dragged then. We had a funky sound experience.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
All right. No, I was saying downtowners in Hanoi.
Oh, there we go. Okay. It would have been crazy. Maybe it was my internet. Sorry, downtown Hanoi.
You've muted me.
No, not now.
Yeah? No.
You're good now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so downtown, Old Town Hanoi is wonderful, and you know, the cafe culture. There's a little cafe district, and you just go and sit in one of the cafes, and they have all these sort of semi-different levels and half levels that you can go and sit over the balcony and drink your fabulous Vietnamese coffee, which I love, and just lean over and watch all the craziness of the street. You know, the bikes and the traffic and the cyclos and the bartering and the, you know, flower ladies and you know, everything. So that's always a favourite. The pop-up restaurants.
Or go sit on the train track.
Yeah.
Or go sit on the train tracks for coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
there's lots of.
Sorry.
No, I was just going. You go.
No, I was just going to say that's probably a great segue into food, because Taylor was saying the other day she was really sort of surprised at how much of a coffee culture it is here. You know, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I've only just recently learned about that, I guess, this new trend spreading the world of everybody wanting Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah, it is. It's fabulous.
So on the food topic side of things as well, what I've found is every time we go down to like our little pho place or whatever, you get served, or even if we go up to our pool bar, you get served a cup of iced tea straight away. So it's like you're actually getting, as part of your meal, or even before you start ordering your meal, you're getting a glass of iced tea. And it's probably the only thing that doesn't have sugar in it. Everything else seems to be sugar loaded, including the juices. Taylor, how can you talk about your experience with your fruit and juices you were talking about the other day?
Yeah, well, that was actually in Korea, but it's the same idea. Like, they had a counter, and it just had like a little clear plastic cup with different fruit in it. It was like 2 full kiwis, and I was like, yes, I just need some fruit so bad, because in Korea it was really hard to eat healthy. And I like ordered it, and then he was like doing some other stuff, and I was like, looking at the size, it was like a cool building. And then he like hands me this drink that he's made out of the kiwis, and I was like, what is that? And he goes, "It's your drink." And I was like, "Does it have sugar in it?" Knowing that they put simple sugar in it. And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I don't want it." He's like, "No, try it, you'll like it." I was like, I just wanted some fruit, just some straight fruit. I did not want a simple syrup fruit.
Well, even the other day, just for us, we asked for a whatever the juice of the day was, and Nat got a smoothie, and the smoothie looked like it was definitely made with avocado. And I'm not big on sort of creamy textures, but I had a sip, and I'm like, that's really sweet. Like, I wonder what else they put in it. I didn't think about it. And then I'm sipping on the juice part of it, which had a lot of carrot in. So it's kind of like, well, it's not really a fruit juice, but that's fine. Drinking away, going, oh, that's quite nice too. But then suddenly I took this sip, and I had a full sugar granule in my mouth. And I'm like, it wasn't sweetened by fruit. It's been sweetened by sugar. No. What are they doing this for? But is that ultimately what Vietnamese coffee is? It's just like a really sweet coffee, is it?
No.
Is it? No? Okay.
Vietnamese coffee is actually really bitter. So they a lot of times don't drink it just black. I mean, you can order it like black iced coffee, or iced coffee with condensed milk is sort of the other popular one. And I've tried both. I found that I like the one with milk in it because it's really, really bitter. And it's, as a black coffee drinker, it's actually even really hard for me to drink.
No.
It's funny. It's funny about the juice. One of the girls at the hostel, we had this juice every morning, and she's like all healthy, and this is so great having juice every morning. And I'm not a big juice drinker, so I would just be eating the fruit. And she's like, oh, it's so thirst quenching. And she wandered into the kitchen one morning, and she came out with this horrified look on her face. She said, she just showed me how to make this fruit juice. And she was horrified. There was like half a cup of sugar in every jug of it. It's like she'd been drinking pop every day.
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, cool. For $1, I can get a full watermelon juice or a pineapple juice. And then I'm going, geez, that pineapple's really sweet. I mean, I know a lot of like the, Thai pineapples are really sweet, but this was OTT. I do have to bring up the food thing because Vietnamese food is really, really good. But we did have a conversation with our homeowners where they did talk about the need to just be super aware of beef.
Oh.
Has anybody else had an experience or heard anything? Okay, so
I ate everything. Street food, barbecue.
It's just if it could possibly be dog. So it's not that it's So basically, to me in this area, what we've discovered is there's a lot of pork and chicken, super, super cheap. There is beef available. It's a little bit more expensive. And our homeowners told us that it's not in this area at all. But I guess sort of some street vendors or whatever, if they're kind of claiming things are beef, that it might possibly be dog. And they said that the way to really tell is that it's, funnily enough, really super tender. Almost melt in your mouth tender. But so I personally am choosing not to have the meats. I don't want to have any surprises like that. But I do eat chicken. I'm not vegetarian or anything. I do eat chicken. And I have had some pork because it actually is really, really good. They do amazing pork dishes here. But yeah, that was just kind of a thing that they had told us about. Has anyone else got any suggestions with the food? Obviously, the buns and the phoes and everything is amazing here. But
We did when we first arrived in Ho Chi Minh City, the first or second day we booked a food tour called 𝗣𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 Food Tours. And so these two little young girls turned up on motorbikes the next day. They looked like they were 12, but they look like they're 12. They're so young. And they took us, it became a small group of about 8 people. And they took us to some fantastic food places that you wouldn't normally go to on your own. There was one where we sat on a rock in a park eating a noodle or a salady noodly dish from a vendor across the road, which was in a different, a province or a different region of the city. And you're not allowed to, there's rules. You're not really allowed to do what we did. Like, you're not allowed to buy it from her and take it into another part. You're meant to stay in the same place. Best food. And she's got all these TripAdvisor reviews, this woman. But all these other little tiny eateries, and we ate some amazing food. And that was a great tour. Zipping in through the traffic on motor scooters was so much fun. Yeah. The other place that the food was the best we had was in 𝗲𝗏. The food was unbelievable, that I've never eaten anywhere else.
Talking about 𝗲𝗏, that was literally the one place that everybody said was the place to go to. Like, if we did have time after our house set, that, because we kept sort of saying, oh, what about Hoi An and Hanoi? And they're like, no, 𝗲𝗏, go there.
The food is unbelievable. And then we caught a train from Da Nang up to Hoi An. It was not an overnight one, but a daytime one, hugging the coast all the way. That's an aside from the food, but hugged the coast all the way through. Sensational. Yeah, the food in 𝗲𝗏 and a food tour in Ho Chi Minh City were fantastic. And just the other thing in Hanoi was the egg coffee. We had the egg coffee in Hoi An. Has anybody had that? Yeah.
So good.
Isn't it good? Yeah. So essentially, it's a black coffee. It was started when the French were in residence there, and they whip up like an egg yolk. It's like a flummery, tastes like an egg flip if you grew up with an egg flip. So it's coffee with this flummery, eggy, really puffy, white beautifulness. It's rich and yeah. But you can only get it in Hanoi. So the thing about Vietnamese food in a lot of places around other countries is the food is localized and it is regional. So the food that you get in 𝗲𝗏, you're not going to get in Ho Chi Minh City because it's that region.
Look, at the end of the day, it's still a big country. It is actually a reasonably sized country when you look at, how far it is, especially when you start looking at how long the train's going to be. So, have that experience of the overnight train, etc. It's quite a distance. That was definitely going to be the thing we were going to do, would be literally just overnight train wherever we could, even though the flights are pretty cheap within country, but try and get out and do that.
It's such a great experience.
Yeah.
Like I flew from Dalat to Ho Chi Minh just because of timing, but the overnight bus and the overnight train definitely worth the experience.
Yeah. So just to finish off with, I do have to mention the whole visa thing. Oh, Jenna, did you want to?
Yeah. Just want to add one super duper dish, banana flour salad.
Right.
So the big pointy bit of the banana flour has all these little strands in it, and they use that to make a salad, and it's the most insanely exceptional salad. And the other thing I think is there's lots of pop-up restaurants in Hanoi. So during the day they're a car park, and during the night they're a pop-up restaurant. And if you have the opportunity to try barbecue pigeon in one of the pop-up restaurants, I totally suggest you try it. It's really quite
about that. He's just like, what? And the night markets, so, get to the night markets for sure, and just eat whatever's going. Like that stuff is so fun.
Yeah,
and take a cooking class.
Yeah. Cooking classes, and hire a scooter and go out into the country. It's lots of fun. Super duper fun.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be hiring the scooter from the middle of Ho Chi Minh City, but if I'm on the outside, absolutely, no worries, I'd give that a go.
Yeah.
Or just get a grab bike.
Yeah.
Just get a grab bike for an hour or two and just say, take me somewhere.
All right, so just to clarify, Grab is kind of like the Uber. Experience of Asia. So we've used Grab in Thailand, Singapore, and now Vietnam. Super cheap, and the bikes here, obviously. Having two of us, it's not as convenient. It works out to be roughly the same price as hopping in a cab, especially when you go the shorter distances. But Taylor got from one side of the city over to this side in literally half the time it would have taken in the car. Nothing wrong with going up on footpaths to get here quickly. So, as she's hanging on the back of the bike. But unfortunately, she did get the rain on the way back the other night. So that was interesting. So I did want to mention just in these last few minutes, and our housekeeper's just arrived, so I'm going to wrap it up here, but the visa situation. So we did a lot of research before coming in. So at the moment, the current thing is you still have to pay for an entry visa. But to get your entry visa in country, you need to provide them with a letter of introduction, as it's called, which is literally just sort of saying, it's kind of like your own manifest. You could be grouped in with other people on this letter of introduction, but it's sort of saying, yes, okay, this person is arriving into the country. You pay your $25 in cash. There is no card payment. It is cash. And it's, I think you can pay the equivalent of dong, but it's either the dong or, not that anybody I think would really want to buy dong outside of the country. It's the most bizarre. We're millionaires at the moment, just so you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, so $25. Taylor actually, unfortunately, didn't have the cash on arrival, but do you want to just share your experience of what happened? Because they did actually allow you to go out to an ATM, yeah?
Yeah, so I asked the airline actually when I was in Thailand flying into Vietnam what to do because there were no ATMs in all of the Thailand airports. It was madness. And so they were like, oh, no, it'll be fine. You can get cash once you get there. So you still have to go up to the counter, like you hand them your application and documents, they make you go sit down, and they call you back up to actually pay for your visa. So when I went up to pay, I just said, I don't have any cash. And she said, sit back down. I was like, okay. And then it was me and this one other guy actually. And they just direct you when she gets a second, she gets a break. She'll direct you to walk literally outside the airport, past customs, past everything. You just walk right by it, get your cash, and walk back in the way that you came. No one stopped. No one escorted us out. No one stopped us going in or out. I was just like, what is happening? But they still have your passport, so it's not like you're going to leave. You're not going to escape, and they probably know that. But yeah, so I had read all these horror stories, and my friends were like, I was freaking out. I was also really sick while I was flying, and I was just like, this is not what I want. I mean, and I think I've had friends who said they even did everything perfectly, and the immigration people were still kind of complete jerks to everyone there. I had a perfectly pleasant experience, no issues, and they don't talk a whole lot as most immigration people do. But it didn't seem to be like that big of a deal. I asked the guy when I got there before I got in line what to do. He was like, he's the only person, the passport control person is the only person who can let you out. So just go through the whole process and then they'll tell you what to do. And I was like, okay, and it was fine.
So when we arrived, there was two young German backpackers who didn't have cash either, and they didn't. I think because it was quite busy, they didn't get the opportunity to sort of be shown out. So they went asking all around the place, and we had literally only left Singapore with one $50 note because we weren't going to need US dollars, so we only got what we needed. And they're like asking us, we're like, no, we don't have cash. We've got to wait till we get into an ATM, etc. Anyway, this guy ended up just handing them $50 so that the two of them could get through. And he said, look, don't worry about it. Just pay it forward or whatever. So they were fine with that. But what I did want to share is that flying out of Singapore in particular, because Sharon 𝗣𝗲𝗀𝗀 had done it before us, her online application for the visa introduction letter, she only had it on email or on a phone or something. And coming to Singapore airport to fly out, they said that wasn't good enough. They needed a printed version, and they charged her $160 or something to get a visa application to then arrive into Vietnam and then pay the $25 as you do. So you always have to pay the $25 in Vietnam, but there's all these businesses that are making money from doing these introduction letters now, and the prices range hugely. And you think you're doing the right thing going to, say, your embassy or the Vietnamese embassy in wherever you are or what have you. They literally, even the Vietnamese embassy in Singapore was farming you off to probably, no doubt, a family or friend member or whatever who has created a little agency that will, then charge you $30 to get this letter. It's all crazy stuff. But the main thing you need to be aware of is whether it's a single entry or a multiple entry, whether it's the 30-day or whether you're going to go for the 90-day. So price-wise, just get the letter. You're probably going to need it more for the departure point. Obviously, you need it on arrival as well, but they don't seem to be as fussy on arrival. It's just kind of like, show me your piece of paper, let me sit down, we're going to process it, you pay your money, they're done. And they take a whole page out of your passport as well, which is kind of ridiculous. So it's the ultimate, when you're sitting there watching this whole thing, it's the ultimate in watching government paper pushes. You're just like, this is the most ridiculous system in the world. But it's pretty much governments of every world, so there's paper pushes everywhere. But yeah, so they're my big words of warning. Definitely get your introduction letter in advance. Have it on printout when you go to the airport, particularly if you're leaving Singapore, and have your US dollars, $25 when you arrive. They will give you change. They have got the change.
And a picture.
Oh, your photos, that's right, yes. Yeah, you need to have, they told us we needed 2, but they only took 1. So they didn't even look at the other one. So just 1 passport photo as well.
And my airline also asked for all my documents before I got on the plane. I had to prove, and she read them, and I had to prove that I would be able to get into the country, even though I didn't have any cash.
That's interesting, Joan. So coming in, yes, we're talking about flying in. So obviously doing land borders or water borders. Do you want to just share that if you want to unmute there? So
unmute. Oh,
there we go. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Hi. This was 5 years ago, and we were doing our round the world traveling and decided after Thailand we'd go into Cambodia. But from Cambodia, that was a joke to get our visa to get to Cambodia, which is another long story, but a wonderful country, wonderful country. And so after 15, maybe 3 weeks there, we decided we want to go down to Vietnam. And so we found out that we could go on a very small boat. This is not a cruise ship. This is a very small boat with about 12 other people. And we spent an entire day going down the Mekong River, and just all of a sudden he said, we've got to stop off and get visas. And it was like, what? And so we just walked up the ramp on the side of the river, got into this little house. We sat there for about 45 minutes to an hour, and there was only 13 of us, I think. And all of a sudden we got them stamped, and on we were, and on way down. But we did have to have US cash, which we did indeed have. So this was totally simple. No worry about anything else. The hardest thing for us, though, is you've got to make sure you got your shots. And we had been living in Kenya for several months. And in order to get out of Kenya, we could either A, come back to the States because we didn't have our yellow fever. So that's another long story about traveling maybe with not the right type of visa. But shots. So anyway.
That actually has given me a topic for another huddle, just to talk about that. Because generally speaking, it's not about sort of the shots you've had or the proximity of time that you've had it. It's the country you've been to beforehand in that time period.
Believe me, it was interesting, but another day. But anyway, we absolutely, I'm listening to the rest of you, and I'm jealous as can be that you're living there. We travel by the seat of our pants. We are not into the luxury hotels. We've never stayed at we did stay at a hostel once, and that's when I think we got a towel as a blanket and a pillow, if I remember right. That's that story of that's Thailand. But we traveled on train, overnight on the bus, things you think, really? And we were told about the bus riding, and it seemed to be at that stage that one of you needed to keep awake, make sure nobody slipped anything, like they talk about that in Thailand, watch your bag, that nobody's slipping anything in or taking things out. But we just enjoyed being with people. I loved Nha Trang, I loved Da Nang, and Hoi An and Hue, just gorgeous things. So we flew, we went by bus, we went by train, and we went out to Hulong Bay. We did that. We actually stayed overnight, not on a boat, we stayed on an island. That was an incredible thing if you're thinking of doing that. You can go up to some of the islands and they put you up in this wonderful house on stilts. You've got this little island with maybe 10 houses on it, and it's just wonderful. So there's a lot, and the caves are wonderful, and the markets on the river are wonderful. So
you just reminded me as well. One thing is, it's, you know, as with many of the Asian countries, it's very respectful to hand over and receive money with two hands. And if you can't, then this, what were you saying, Tyler? It's like a hand on an arm, or something, sort of a respectful thing. But what I have noticed as well is there's pretty much no tipping going, not much tipping. So particularly for our US friends who are always like world traveling tippers, you may want to go easy. It can actually be a little bit disrespectful. So it's kind of nice to just leave a little bit, like, you know, obviously you don't want to take in, because they don't have coins here. So their equivalent of coins are like a 1,000 note, even to sort of, you know, leave that. If they've got a jar or something, obviously drop them in. But it seems to be, they really go out of their way to give you the change. And that's kind of what I've learned as well. So it's kind of like a little goes a lot longer, goes a lot further than kind of you think, oh, it's going to be 15-20% or whatever it is. So just think of it that way. Anyone else want to add to that? Is that kind of your experiences? Or
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. But the bus trips are wonderful, aren't they? When you have to stop along the way and find a rest room, and you have mounds of food. You may or may not know what you're going to be eating, but you want to find something. There's a lot, isn't it? It's just fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And then the toilets along the way are either the squat or the American.
Yes. These small squats. Mm-hmm.
The squats are nuts, but
they're interesting. So we never tried a bike, or the scooters. And I love it when you said this elderly lady came and reached. We were led across many roads in Ho Chi Minh by somebody grabbing us and saying, "Come on, let's do it now." I thought these two old people going across the street by these young kids pulling us across. It was pretty interesting. The food is fabulous. The streets are wonderful.
And overall,
the art galleries. Have you ever get to any of the art in these cities? Are incredible. They have some fabulous art. I love.
Yeah, Vietnam itself has got such a fascinating history. They literally have been invaded, their whole existence type of thing. But the people are lovely. They're very friendly. They're very family focused. Very, kind of even, I guess you'd say, health and fitness focused, except for the sugar thing. But hey, they're all tiny, so who cares? So, maybe
you can't buy clothes there. You won't be able to buy any clothing there.
Oh, even shoes are difficult.
Yeah, well, a shirt. We came from these other countries to get a shirt, and they're really nice when they say to you, "Well, I think we've got something in your size."
To fit my left arm.
Yes. Oh, the stories. Yeah, the food. Yeah. We did the 𝗓𝗄𝐶hi tunnels. I don't know if you didn't talk about that, but we did a lot of that, exploring around and learned a bit of the history because we had friends and family who had been in Vietnam and the DMZ. So it was sort of bittersweet in some of those places.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, from a house sitting and travel lifestyle perspective, there are house sits here. There are probably going to be more as well. And if that becomes the kickoff point, like sort of, maybe not doing what us and Taylor have done, which is, we've used this as a kickoff point and then just forgotten to whack on our travel around Vietnam. But now that I've lived here this time, I know that where to come back to and what I want to do and what the experience is like.
Well, write it out for us. Tell us the area you're in and how did you get connected with house sitting there?
No, Nomador. We were talking about that earlier, Joan. Yeah. So
sorry.
One of our.
You did Nomador?
Yeah. But yes, so I think I'm going to leave it there. But you guys are welcome to stay and chat further if you want to. But our housekeeper's here now because we're posh. We get a housekeeper.
Yeah, I'm going to go clean my house now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, great chatting with everybody. I would definitely go back, and I think a house sit in Vietnam would be fun.
I think I feel like I want to go back right now. It was one of the best experiences.
It is a lovely place.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite countries. Definitely one of my favourites.
Yeah, you've done 3 times. Doug or Joanne, did you have a question? You finally got your video working, so no? All right, so you're heading there shortly. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, guys. We will see you on another huddle. Thanks for coming along, Taylor.
Enjoy Penang, Jodie. I've got to say, it's the hottest I've ever been in my life.
In Penang?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, everyone's raving about the food, so we're definitely looking forward to the Penang food. And where we are is just a little bit out of Georgetown Park, but in a good area where there's just everything downstairs in our building. Yeah.
I think that's cool. I can't remember what that's a particular area anyway.
Oh, and how's this? I'll just finish this off with a random thing. Go to book the flight out of Ho Chi Minh City to Malaysia, and I'm looking at everything, and I'm doing my normal sort of, scanning around of everything. Think that I have the flight booked to Penang, actually booked to Kuala Lumpur. Now, we had an extra couple of days, so I was like, okay, we're just going to get a place in Penang for 3 nights before the house sit starts, because they can't take us in. We have to literally just do a handover in the morning they're leaving. And then I realised I booked KL, and then Nat starts looking up at the accommodation. She's like, we can stay in a 4-star hotel for $23. I'm like, okay, well, let's go do KL then. That'll be fun. So we've got 3 nights in KL, and our flight from KL to Penang, mine was $5, hers was $11. So we're like, well,
how long are you in Penang for?
It's only a 5-night set. It's only a shorty.
I've got some really cool things that you can do. I'll send you some links.
Oh, cool. And it's going to be the big Georgetown Festival while we're there too. So there's heaps of stuff on.
It's an insane place. Fabulous.
Oh, very cool.
Good.
Very excited now. We're going to be there this weekend. Thanks so much for coming along, Nadine.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya. I'll talk to you soon, Jeb.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Was saying that she